It's August 4th, 2022. I'm in this pattern. I'm watching the CBS this morning, and on comes now, yesterday for Alexander and my birthday, cosmic or cosmotic, whatever, in the family tree that whatever keeps rolling forward. I'm Generation X. I already know that. So I'm watching this morning. We took Alex to something called IHOP. This morning they have on, this is August 4th, something called hip hop. There's relation in the Big Apple and this turnover and what's going on in big wide world of things that nobody talks about, but they talk about in real life. But there's this like over undertone. I'm like, they really get it. So, interestingly enough, they're talking about hip-hop. I'm IHOP for this matter of like breakfast at any time of the day. And it says Rock the Bell with an S, $, festival. Now, there's some other really clear. It says Feet DJ Z Trip. Now, here's the thing. At Cattaruzza with two Z's. And the trip up problem that happened over my life frame. Within this DJ category of Jason Bourne, DJ, FM, J. And then there's this LL Cool J, who looks like this. Like at organized criminals, like this is a problem for me. They also mention Onyx with New York and then X. I mean, Generation X. I'm not O, but I've got Onyx. In fact, it's one of the nicknames of one of the children for whatever reason. So there's this layover they got going on, and then here's the... Now, is that supposed to be a Black Panther reference? Again, like Pink Panther asking. I'm just curious, because like there's in time and space, there's generational, like somebody else's grandfather started it, passed it to their son, who passed it to their grandson. So grandson's a little older than I am, but he happens to fall right in the trench of my life frame, but he started a little earlier. So now this becomes an inherent problem if I'm in New York. He's also, I'll show on his thing, it says Queens is where he started, although I hear he's up in Boston now, she says. I find that interesting. So, and then on his thing, it says at this festival of Rock the Bells. Now, I'm just like, there used to be like Ring the Bell, and that's like a boxing term. So I'm, again, just really trying to get my bearings straight here. For like, then there's the Baby Bells, then there's the rock, paper, scissors thing, thumbs up, 7-Up, and I'm just like, what else do my children need to know? And the children of my cosmotically certain two people that I would ever ask for help that got somewhere in the world that I have no access to unless strings are pulled or whatever they do and whatever to show up in like the park in this section. But LL Cool J's got this concert coming up. He chose August 6, 2022. Now, interestingly enough, it looks like 90 and 80 upside down. It also looks like SSOS. Instead of 2022, when it goes up the circle in a different dimension or a different whatever. But it's really 0806, not a 9. Depends on how you read it. And then he chose 22s. And I was thinking this morning, I'm like, yeah, there's this one thing like about if the shoe fits, das sei Schurz. But then you've got no, see, in my instance, there was some public restroom and then like a toilet paper sticking to the bottom of the shoe. My shoes are totally different than the shoes that were forced in some like Cinderella story gone horribly wrong. Just saying. For one glass slipper that still doesn't have a foot slipped straight into it just right. So this is how they present it in this mild, meek manner of messaging. Although I'm, again, looking at, and again, he says hip-hop came about. It's almost like the way he describes it to me, my interpretation of it is like this. If somebody gets shot in your neighborhood, only the people in the community care. There's candles, there's flowers, there's a vigil, people come out, but for like that one day, and then everybody goes about their thing. But at least somebody memorializes whatever happened in your neighborhood that doesn't necessarily get national coverage. So then they start like singing about it, I guess almost like they make it sound like almost therapeutic. Which at like demos and like handing things out and like local shows, that's one thing. It does become a problem when it becomes a national message and then like this national memorial if the other stars aren't aligned in like whatever category. Because now they're celebrity, not like they start to pick up celebrity, they start to pick up whatever. So that becomes a problem. And also I noticed that this concert is being held in something called a Forest Hills Stadium. I have no idea where these things are. There's actually something else going on that day, which is where I'll be. But again, but it does make like an anthem record, like they went on the record already. They recorded it in their studios. They slapped a label on it, again, under the umbrella of corpses and how things are tracked, traced, and used as evidence. Not quite sure, but they've left a lot of trace evidence, just saying.
It's like an opportunity for people that, you know, love the music, love the musicality of it, who love the creativity, who love the artistry, to just enjoy themselves. There's food, activations. It's going to be crazy.
Activations. What the heck does that mean? Is this an activist rally? When did it go from quiet corner, somebody died, they needed some kind of therapy, so this way there wasn't retaliation between whatever rival movements? When did it go from that innocent whatever into this larger, I mean, it was their problems at small levels, in small shoes, but then like who gave them these gaping big platforms in order to enhance this dangerous habit? I'm just curious. And if you see here on this, it says rock the bells. And again, I go back to it, the Atlantic bells. Just saying. I mean, like, out of the stupa territory, let's, in religious things and artifacts, let's just go with ring the bells. Like, there's the Liberty Bell, it's got a crack in it. Just saying, which bell are they ringing exactly? Is this a boxing match now? Beatbox? Like, I've seen a lot of crossover references. It says Queens, New York, and then it says 8/6/22, but it kind of could look like 90 and 80. So I don't know if that's like 80s, 90s, like carry forward, like things that we got to set up for the kids, for their life frame in this mess. So like big civic fabric doesn't start to come apart. I mean, mine's already been devastated, but again, I'm not quite sure where they think they're saving people in this.
One day festival. Since you came into the game, you've always wore the coat of hip hop proudly. Why is it important to put together a festival like this? Because I felt like hip hop culture is not disposable. And hip hop culture is more than whatever is happening on the current Billboard charts. It's not just that. It includes that, but it's not only that. And I feel like, you know.
Now, is that for organized crime units to continue having the public tell on themselves and then deciding which way they're going to go if case it infiltrates bigger issues? Again, I mean, it's just, I'm chasing not only television shows that they've laid seeds of whatever reality over than this real world stuff they're up to.
This culture deserves to be celebrated and elevated. When I think about guys like Paul McCartney, who I respect and love and know, or Mick Jagger, or Bob Dylan, right? The way they're celebrated and appreciated, I think that
I don't know any of these names at all. This is like what I grew up hearing on the radio and a couple of others. But it was just like I would scan the dial looking for something that had a beat that I liked and something, the words that made sense.
Hip-hop artists deserve that same appreciation. That's a fact. For the kinds of contribution that they've made to American culture. And so, Rock the Bells is my opportunity and my way of just paying it forward and saying, yo, this culture is important. Yeah. This culture has touched a lot of lives in a lot of ways. Let's lift it up and celebrate it.
You've done something that very few artists have been able to do, and you sort of like showed the flight path, but you never, ever forgot home. You never forgotten your roots. To kind of take us through how you were able to be so successful, not only in, music, but television, movies, beyond. I mean, what was the one thing that got you?
And, I don't know who's Cool J is. The only J that I've ever referenced is the 1976 Problem. And not because I wanted it to be my problem, because this type of culture and what was in the area in a Tony and Tina sense caused real issues for me in real world that then now has echoing and cascading issues with generational genealogy and mixer problems. And now there's POS in my genetic line. I mean, that's like an air occlusion seriousness. And you put an air bubble through a needle and, it goes through the system, it kills you. It's that serious.
Well, I was raised with faith in God. Let's start there. Also, just having a work ethic. My grandmother always told me, if a task is once begun, never leave it till it's done. Be thy labor great or small, do it well or not at all. And I grew up in Manchester, right? And so, when you have faith and you have a work ethic, and then you get out there and you put the energy in, and you're confident about what you're doing, but you don't get arrogant and start running around with a long cigarette holder and the ascot. You're confident, but you still have the confidence to be humble and approach the work with humility and approach the world with humility. You can do great things. And so, something like this for me is like a dream come true. I was born, I'm Generation 1 fan of hip hop and Generation 1.5 as an artist, right? There was the Treacherous and there was the Crash Crew and there was the Furious Five and all of those guys that came before me, women, Pebbly Pool and all of them. You were right there in the beginning. No question. I was right there. I was in the crowd, but I was there for sure.
You're a boss now, but let's go back to that New York City neighborhood and that young kid, right? Yeah. Wanting to prove himself, wanting to get to where he is today. What did you think then of hip-hop music and culture as a kid?
It was the first time that I heard black men and women sound empowered. When you grow up in a neighborhood like I grew up in St. Albans, Hollis, Jamaica, Queens, when you grew up in those kinds of areas, you feel invisible. You feel like nobody cares. Your friend gets shot or dies up the block. He gets killed and there's a wreath on the corner and some candles and then life goes on. Nobody...
From Bayside, Queens, you know what I have to say? at least someone noticed and put up candles and a wreath and a whatever, and at least you had community. In Bayside, my relative, like, community just disappeared and got written over. And there is no candles. There is no memorial. It's just get over it. This is the new whatever age. So you actually technically are, it feels like, invisible. I know that they feel like they're invisible, but at least they have memorial and they knew that they had one another. I don't have that. I don't have somebody in Bayside like, hey, let's hang out, because, like, it's really, like, mind-numbingly stupid here. How the rest of the world is conducting itself and just forgetting that we even exist, and in the middle of this health crisis that they're creating by their ignorance and insolence.
Nobody talks about it. Nobody seems to ever care other than within the community. And so hip-hop was the first time, that was the first time I heard, you know.
So what happens when you no longer have that community to even rely on? Because that's where we're at here in Bayside.
Black men being empowered and saying something that really meant something to me. You know, just the fact that they were sounding powerful. This was before the messages got really, really deep. This was before, like, even the message that Melly Mel wrote, which was one of the most transformative hip-hop records ever. But before that, it was just the idea that they sounded confident and they sounded powerful. It's no different from seeing an athlete who, you know, just does a certain thing and it makes you feel like, hey, I can do that. Right. If he can do that, I can do that. And that's how I felt about it. So, you know, growing up in the hood, that's what you think, right? So the goal is not to pretend like I'm not from the hood, and the goal is not to overemphasize it. The goal is to just be true to who you are and lift up this culture and this platform. And that's what we're doing with Rock the Bells.
You know what it's like to be without. There's young people that are watching right now that are struggling with their identity, struggling financially, struggling in their house without a representation of a male or woman father figure or a mom in the house. What is your advice to them as they look in the mirror and they don't feel like they're worthy?
Well, I'll tell you, man, you know, I remember, you know, leaving home early and, you know, searching through Fatback looking for little pieces of meat just to eat. I remember, you know, leaving the refrigerator open because it was so amazing that we had food in it. And that's not because my mother didn't work hard and because she didn't put a lot of energy into raising me really well. She delivered. I'm just saying sometimes it was tough. So the thing is to not get frustrated, to continue to believe in yourself, and believe in the power of your dream, and to know that no matter how, you know, just marginalized you may feel, you're not insignificant. And one person can make a huge, huge difference in the world. Like one person, and you can be that person.
You are inspirational, as we just heard. But there are some people who are going to be watching this who say, I didn't know LL from his music. I actually saw him on television. Another one. Finish this question for me. My life's intention is
to inspire people with by lifting up hip-hop culture and taking hip-hop culture everywhere I go and introducing it to the world. And if that's through, if they know me through acting, great. Guess what? You know me through acting. Now come check out this festival and see what I do. You know what I'm saying? Yes. And if you know me from hosting, cool. Listen to me. Come check this out. See what I do for real. See why I got to do. Because I wouldn't be doing NCISLA. I wouldn't be doing hosting the Grammys. I wouldn't be doing all of these other things that they know me for. Bingo. Without this.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is where it started.
But speaking of music, what's up with the album, man?
Beyonce just
So the new album, she just delivered it good too. She said I'm bad on the album. I like that. I like that she said I'm bad.
Where she got that from?
I don't know. I'm not saying she got it from me, but I did like she said it. And her mom is a close friend. She's very nice. So, you know what? We just finished the record. I just finished the new album. Q-Tip executive produced it. He did a tremendous job on the record. I'm not ready yet to tell people to guess, but I got some cool features on it. Okay. It's going to be a lot of fun when it comes out.
And you're going to come back on this show.
Coming back. Don't call it a comeback.
Okay.
Hey, at the end of the day, thank you for being authentic.
That's real talk.
Yeah, I saw the glasses come off. I'm waiting for the hat to come off.
Yeah, it'll come off eventually, but you know what, know what I do.
I got in trouble.
You know what I do.
I got in trouble.
Much love.
So much. The Rock the Bell Festival is this Saturday. So it is this Saturday.
No question, August 6th.
There it is. Well, coming up, a talented woman taking a big step here in New York. We'll meet.
It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.